The phone rang just as the morning sun spilled across the hospital parking lot, painting everything in soft gold that somehow made the pain look almost beautiful. I stood beside my old pickup truck with exhausted eyes and trembling hands after another sleepless night beside a dying man who wasn't even my father. The voice on the other end belonged to my wife, but the warmth that once lived inside her words had vanished long ago. She told me she wouldn't be coming to the hospital anymore because she deserved a better life, a richer life, a happier life. She said she had chosen someone who could give her everything she had always dreamed about. As I stood there listening, I realized she had abandoned not only our marriage but also the frail old man lying in room 307, the father who had loved her unconditionally since the day she was born. She walked away while I stayed. She chose luxury while I chose loyalty. Neither of us knew that one quiet signature from a dying man would soon change every life involved forever. Before we continue, if you believe kindness is never wasted and that second chances can change lives, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment telling us where you're watching from, share this story with someone who still believes in compassion, and subscribe to Single Dad Empire so you never miss another unforgettable story. My name is Rowan Mercer, and until that morning I believed promises meant something. I wasn't wealthy. I wasn't famous. I worked as a maintenance supervisor for a public library, fixing broken heating systems, leaking pipes, and old electrical wiring. The paycheck barely covered the mortgage, but every dollar I earned came from honest work. My wife, Celeste Vaughn, used to tell me she admired that about me. She used to say character mattered more than money. Somewhere along the road, expensive vacations she saw online and glamorous lives she watched on social media slowly replaced the dreams we had built together. She began comparing our little home to luxury estates owned by strangers. Every dinner became another reminder that I wasn't successful enough. Every bill became proof that love alone could not satisfy her ambitions. The only person who never measured my worth by my bank account was her father, Aldrin Vaughn. He had spent his life building a respected landscaping company before illness slowly stole his strength. Cancer did not arrive like a storm. It arrived like winter, quietly taking little pieces of him every week until the once energetic man needed help simply walking to the window. Celeste promised she would care for him, but as his condition worsened, hospital visits became inconvenient interruptions to her new lifestyle. She found reasons to stay away. There was always a party, a business dinner, a weekend getaway, or another excuse that sounded important enough to replace a daughter sitting beside her father. I couldn't understand how someone could ignore the person who had sacrificed everything for them. Aldrin had worked double shifts to send her to college. He had skipped vacations so she could have music lessons and dance classes. Every photograph in his hospital room showed a father smiling proudly beside his daughter. Even while weakened by chemotherapy, he defended her whenever nurses quietly wondered why she never visited. He insisted she was simply busy and that she loved him deeply. Those words broke my heart because I knew they weren't true anymore. Every morning began before sunrise. I prepared breakfast at home, watered the flowers Aldrin loved outside our house, drove to work for several hours, and then spent every afternoon and evening beside his hospital bed. I learned how to adjust his blankets without hurting him. I memorized every medication schedule. I knew which television channel made him smile and which songs reminded him of happier summers. The nurses often mistook me for his son because no one else came as faithfully as I did. Their kindness made me grateful, but it also reminded me how lonely the old man had become. Outside the hospital windows, bright daytime skies filled the city with life. Children laughed in nearby parks. Couples walked hand in hand beneath green trees. Food trucks lined busy streets where office workers enjoyed lunch beneath warm sunshine. It amazed me that the world could remain so cheerful while one hospital room quietly held a lifetime preparing to say goodbye. Yet Aldrin never complained. Instead, he asked about my work, encouraged the young nurses, and smiled whenever sunlight reached his bed. He said daylight reminded him that every sunrise was another gift, no matter how painful the day became. Meanwhile, rumors about Celeste spread faster than I expected. Friends gently tried to avoid telling me what they had seen, but the truth eventually reached me. She was spending nearly every afternoon with a wealthy real estate investor named Vincent Hale. He owned luxury cars, waterfront property, and expensive restaurants across the city. He knew exactly how to impress someone chasing status. Designer handbags appeared on Celeste's arm. Jewelry sparkled around her neck. New photographs filled her social media pages, carefully cropped so no one would immediately recognize the man beside her. I never confronted her. Deep inside, I already knew the answer. One bright Saturday afternoon, she finally returned to the hospital. Instead of walking straight toward her father's room, she spent several minutes speaking on her phone in the hallway. Her elegant clothes, expensive perfume, and flawless appearance looked painfully out of place beside families carrying blankets, flowers, and quiet hope. Aldrin's tired face brightened the instant he saw her. For a brief moment, he became the father he had always been, smiling with pride simply because his daughter had entered the room. She stayed less than 10 minutes before claiming she had another appointment. After she left, Aldrin stared through the window for nearly an hour without speaking. That silence hurt more than any tears could have. Weeks passed beneath warm blue skies and gentle afternoon sunshine. Summer flowers bloomed outside the hospital gardens while Aldrin's strength continued fading. Doctors quietly prepared me for the inevitable. They explained there was little more medicine could do beyond keeping him comfortable. I thanked every nurse individually because they treated him with extraordinary dignity. They never rushed him, never ignored him, and always greeted him with genuine smiles. Watching their compassion reminded me that ordinary kindness often becomes extraordinary during someone's darkest days. One afternoon, Aldrin surprised me by asking for a lawyer. At first, I assumed he wanted to organize paperwork or settle medical documents. I contacted the family attorney, who arrived carrying a slim leather briefcase. They requested privacy, but before closing the door, Aldrin reached for my hand with surprising strength and thanked me for never abandoning him. His tired eyes carried a gratitude so deep it left me speechless. I simply squeezed his hand and stepped into the hallway, never imagining that the meeting taking place behind that closed door would soon rewrite every expectation anyone had about his final wishes. 3 days later, Celeste appeared unexpectedly, not because her father was improving, but because someone had informed her a lawyer had visited. Suddenly she became attentive. She brought flowers, expensive fruit baskets, and carefully rehearsed smiles. She kissed her father's forehead and posted pictures online describing herself as a devoted daughter standing beside her beloved father during difficult times. The hospital staff exchanged silent glances because they knew the truth. Real devotion is measured by ordinary days, not by photographs taken when someone is watching. As the final week approached, Aldrin grew weaker with every sunrise. Yet his heart remained peaceful. He spent hours watching daylight spill across the room, whispering that life had been good despite its hardships. Before closing his eyes one evening, he quietly told me that wealth comes and goes, but character remains long after money disappears. I didn't fully understand why those words seemed so important until after he peacefully took his final breath, surrounded not by luxury, but by quiet dignity, faithful care, and genuine love. If this story is touching your heart, please take a moment to like this video, leave a heartfelt comment, and share it with someone who still believes that compassion is stronger than greed. Your support helps Single Dad Empire continue sharing stories that remind us kindness still exists in this world. A week after the funeral, family members gathered inside the attorney's office expecting a routine reading of the will. Celeste arrived wearing expensive designer clothing, confident that her father's successful business, investments, and family estate would secure the luxurious future she had chosen. Vincent waited outside in a gleaming sports car, certain that wealth would soon become even greater. I sat quietly in the corner with no expectations beyond honoring the memory of the man who had become like a father to me. The attorney opened the final document and began reading. With every sentence, the room became quieter. Aldrin explained that inheritance should reward love demonstrated through actions rather than words. He described the countless mornings, afternoons, and evenings spent beside his hospital bed by the one person who expected nothing in return. He wrote that true family is defined by loyalty, sacrifice, and compassion. Then came the sentence that changed everything. The majority of his estate, his company, and the family home were left not to the daughter who abandoned him, but to the man who never did. Special request: before the ending, please comment below with one word, loyalty, if you believe true character is worth more than money. Celeste's tears that day were not for the father she had lost but for the fortune she had expected. I mourned only the gentleman whose greatest gift was teaching me that love is proven in ordinary acts of faithfulness. As I stood beneath the bright afternoon sky after leaving the attorney's office, I realized the inheritance was never really about wealth. The greatest gift Aldrin left behind was the reminder that kindness is never wasted, loyalty is never forgotten, and sooner or later, life has a remarkable way of rewarding those who quietly do the right thing when no one else is watching.